Connie and Ed's mixed-use residence sits directly on the waterfront. It has a separate entrance for the residential part of the building and a storefront entrance for walk-in business. Inside, they have a spacious showroom and front office with lots of merchandise and samples on display. Towards the back, Ed has his work and embroidery area. As orders are filled, packaging and shipping all take place in this building. Upstairs, Connie and Ed have their 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom residence. They completely remodeled the original floor plan with meticulous attention to detail. The kitchen is upgraded with gorgeous granite counters, rich cabinetry, high-end appliances, and beautiful decorative lighting. Tearing down a wall between the formal dining area and the living room opened up the space and gave way to waterfront views from the resulting great room. From the adjoining deck, Connie and Ed enjoy amazing views of the water and the marina with distant hills as a backdrop. Connie and Ed and their business teams by design truly exemplify how to successfully mix business and residence in one.
Well, we're here with Ken Stewart from State Farm Insurance. And Ken, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Carl. It's nice to be with you.
Well, we're going to talk about your specialty, and that's insurance.
Okay.
You know, in a waterfront area, I think most homeowners immediately go, do I need flood insurance? Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, a lot of times the calls that we take in our office have to do with lenders requiring them to have the insurance. And of course, the lender is a resource for knowing if you're in a flood zone. You don't have to be too brilliant to figure out the water's just a few feet behind us here that there's water around. But so a lender is one way of knowing if you're in a flood zone, and another way is a person here in Suisun could call Gemma in Public Works Department and find out what zone they're in. So
from the flood insurance maps.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. So the live workspaces that are here do present an interesting wrinkle in that, in as much as there's business property and personal property and a structure.
Right.
But flood insurance is available for these types of situations.
All right.
Yeah.
So with flood insurance, are there things that flood insurance usually cover and does not cover that you might think it covers?
Well, we all know that every insurance policy has what are called exclusions.
That's why I'm asking.
Yes.
That is why I'm asking.
Yes. If a person insures their property to at least 80% of its value, then they get replacement cost on the building items in the policy. So they do get that benefit.
All right.
Personal property like carpet, furnishings are always covered on a depreciation basis.
Okay.
And then there are certain exclusions that would have to do, let's say somebody went away for the weekend or for a week, let's say they went to Spain. And while they're gone, their house, the water burst in the house.
Okay.
And, 100,000 gallons of water came out. Well, that's a flood. But that's not covered under the flood policy. It has to be ground surface water caused by a levee, a body of water, or heavy rain.
But that might be covered under your regular policy.
It could be.
Okay.
It could be. That's right.
All right.
So what's the trick there to have coverage for a scenario like that, for a pipe bursting?
Well, as Carl was saying, you would want to have, of course, your homeowners or your renters insurance, for sure. And then in regards to flood insurance, my recommendation to most folks is find out what zone you're in, see if you're in a higher risk area, and then consider flood insurance.
Yeah,
If you're-
because in some cases, the way the flood maps work is generally it's based on a 100-year flood, or what they consider to be a 100-year flood,
Right.
or the percentage, the 1% chance that you'll have a flood within a 100-year time period.
Right, so essentially there's 3 programs. There's a special program, a standard, and a preferred. Everybody
Okay.
wants to be in preferred, but most people that are in preferred only select that if indeed they have a concern about flood, because the
Right.
lender's not going to require it. And it's very affordable. A person can get maximum coverage for the dwelling
Okay.
and for the contents for about $400 a year.
Okay.
Whereas in the standard program, such as we would have here, probably it's going to be 3 times that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't have to be near a creek or any other flood zone to get flood insurance. If I wanted flood insurance and I live nowhere near that, I'm still able to, right?
That is correct, yes. And, you know, a lot of the recent events that have happened in the last 10 years in Napa and
Right.
also here, a lot of the flooding that occurred was a failure of infrastructure systems
Right.
that since have been clarified and
Right.
cleared out. But flood insurance certainly applied there, and to the folks that signed up for it that weren't in a flood zone, they're very happy they have it. So, you know, that's something that is important, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me just jump back a little bit. I think
Sure.
we've covered the flood insurance policies. Tell us a little bit about when you have a business as part of your residence. Do you need separate insurances for your business and your residents, or are there programs that
So are we
somehow
talking
incorporate?
about the exposure of flood or other?
No, not flooding
not
at
flood,
all, but
okay.
just the general
Right.
home insurance
Sure.
Right.
for mixed-use buildings as the ones that we have here.
Sure. Most companies would offer a business in the home type of policy.
Okay.
So they can simply have that coverage provided for in their homeowner's policy.
Right.
And that would really be the simplest answer to the question. They can get it. Usually it can be State Farm attaches it right to the homeowner's policy. It's a very affordable premium
Okay.
because the person lives there. They
Right.
have their full, surveillance all the time.
Right.
They're right there. So it's a very, very affordable premium. I can't think of an example where you have a live-work where you would have 2 separate policies.
Okay.
Okay. Now, some of our viewers may not be homeowners and want to know a little bit about renter's insurance.
Well, sure. We like to tell people that the thing about renter's insurance,
Mm-hmm.
Carl, is that the same things that happen to a homeowner can happen
Right.
to a renter's. It's just there's no coverage for the structure. The landlord has that.
Right.
But everything else, theft, fire, vandalism, water damage,
Okay.
all those things can happen. And the exposure can be very high.
Right.
If you have a lot of personal property, most people don't realize it can get up into the tens
Right.
and 50s and hundreds of thousands of personal property. And
I think
for-
that's one of the things that people don't really recognize is how valuable your valuables are.
Right.
You know?
Right. And what's important to remember is that the coverage is for replacement costs.
Right.
It doesn't matter if Aunt Millie
Right.
gave it to you.
Right,
okay?
right.
Or if you bought it at a garage sale,
Right.
you're going to get full replacement costs.
Yes.
And that means the value today of that property that's damaged. It's about a pizza a month. So we tell people, if you can buy a pizza, you can get renter's insurance. And what's nice about that is if you combine it with automobile insurance,
Okay.
you get an
A
additional
discount?
discount. And most
Okay.
of the time, honestly, most of the time the renter's insurance is paid for by the discount that's realized on
you-
the automobiles.
I'm
Wow.
glad you brought that up because I actually have a viewer question for you.
Sure.
We all see all these commercials on TV all the time talking about bundling services, and
Yes.
now we've talked about different types of insurance
Yes.
that people elect to get for whatever situation that they have.
Sure.
Is there some advantages or some disadvantages to bundling your services in one place?
Well, the only disadvantage that there could be would be if the company that you're with, you didn't consider to be financially strong enough to handle bundled services.
Okay.
Okay.
That's certainly not the case with State Farm, number one insurer of homes and cars in the United States. So bundling is really only advantageous. And the point of view of the insurance company is that they, as you become a seasoned customer, they get to know your habits from the
Right.
driving side and then also the home ownership or renter side.
Right.
And it's just good business sense to extend that kind of a value. It's not extended on everything. Nadia, sometimes people will ask about if I buy a rental property, am I going to get an additional bundle discount? Usually not, because the care, custody, and control is very limited on a rental. You're not there.
Right.
And sometimes tenants can be a little bit
Right.
difficult on the property. So a lot of times you won't see it there. There's other areas such as financial areas that we're just not allowed to bundle. But
Okay.
State Farm invented bundling.
Okay, wow. Well, that's a good closing statement right there. Thank you so much
been a
for
pleasure.
coming on the
Thank
show.
you.
I
It's been
really
nice.
appreciate
Thank
you
you.
taking the time out.
Carl.
All right,
Thanks
sir.
very much.
And I think that's just it. We have time for a few tidbits, and then we'll break off from today's show.
Well, it's time for the tidbits section of the show, and I've got a little tidbit for you.
All right.
You know, every year, the California Association of Realtors comes out with their forecast for next year.
Okay.
And they've done that, and for 2012, what they're saying is they expect an increase in the median home price. Okay, slight uptick, 1.7%, but it's always good news when you hear that it's going up instead of the other way.
Yes, we've been hearing way too much of that lately.
Yeah. One of the other things that have come out is that home ownership levels have dropped. They're at the lowest level since 1998. It's down to about 65%.
That's pretty low.
Yeah.
Means that there's a lot of renters out there looking for rental property. I have another tidbit for you.
Okay.
There was a recent survey done by a group called CEOs for Cities.
Okay.
And it's actually pretty relevant to our show today, because what that survey found was that walkability of a home actually increases its home value. They said as much as $4,000 to $34,000 is what your home might be worth more when it is in a very walkable area such as the Suisun Waterfront versus what it would be if it was placed outside of a walkable area.
Okay.
And this was a national survey, and they actually said that this trend seems to be more so in the denser areas,
Yes.
and they pulled out as examples of that San Francisco and Sacramento. So
Okay.
two local cities where for sure walkability increases home values.
Yeah. And it's great to be in a neighborhood where you can walk to the different amenities, whether it's a grocery store, whether it's a restaurant or anything like that. It's always nice.
Yeah, so I think that about rounds it up for us here today at Real Estate Rendezvous. You can catch our show every day on Channel 27 at 8:30 a.m., 4:30 p.m., and again at 8:30 p.m. in the evening. You can also see us online at www.realestaterendezvous.com. And last but not least, we would love to hear from you. If you have a real estate question, or if you live in a fabulous neighborhood that you would like for us to feature on the show, please send me an email at contact@realestaterendezvous.com or call the office at 707-422-9300. Is that it?
Well, we'll be coming to your neighborhood soon. Just let us know. Thanks for watching.